So whoever was running Square Enix these last few years had a lot of faith in the gaming status quo, basically how things had been done and how things have been run in the past. I just saw this post here from this account, Pirate Nation, saying or expanding a little bit more on what the CEO for Square Enix had said, yes, which was published yesterday in a Japanese outlet. Apparently, if what he's saying that Final Fantasy 16 has sold only 3.5 or so far, I think he said over 3.5 million units, and this person wrote a historical failure here. I don't know why they wrote a historical failure. Maybe that's just their interpretation. But what I wanted to look at were the data sets. So historically, in comparison, here are the sales of every other Final Fantasy 1 year, 9 months after the release. Okay, so that's how we're gonna look at it. That's the point we're taking a look from. Final Fantasy 15, 7.7 million units around 1 year. This game was an Xbox. Some of you finally confirmed this to me in the comment section, so shout out to y'all. Final Fantasy 7 Remake, or whatever it is, 5 million. Final Fantasy 13, 6. Final Fantasy 12, 5. Final Fantasy 10, 5.8. Final Fantasy 9, 4.3. 8, 6.6. And then 7, 6 million. And then 1 through 6, sub 3 million. So that means Final Fantasy 16 is selling barely better than the Famicom NES Final Fantasy games, 3 of which were Japan only by the point of their release. Now, some of the comments are also very interesting in this particular regard. Some people are saying, perhaps it's, PS5 exclusivity, which cost them sales. That's obvious. PlayStation 5 players are no different from Xbox players in the way that they behave. Their top played games unveil that what they prefer to play are the live service games. On PC, on the other hand, it's some live service games and some niche CR. Well, they say niche, but a bunch of people are playing them on PC, so I don't see how you can call that niche. It is what it is. You see Baldur's Gate 3 there. You see, some really, different types of games at the end of the day. Someone said, hurts my heart, but people want Final Fantasy, and it deviated too far. I say this as someone who laughed, cried, and loved the last one. The story was very Final Fantasy, but the combat and the way you interacted with the world wasn't. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Let's keep reading. But for the games, I think they focus more on movie experience instead of a game experience. I'm not sure. But I miss turn-based with spin-offs, but spin-offs being non-turn-based. The early ecosystem of 7 was a great mix of everything. Also, the fan art community slowed down, which I wasn't expecting, way faster than 15. And neither of them can hold a torch to Final Fantasy VII community art, and that's pre-reboot. Well, you have to understand this user, Madam Savvy, most of those so-called communities didn't have the game to play for 6 months. So where would they have been fanning artwork for to a game that they didn't have access to? No PC access for 6 months, still till date no Xbox access. Why is Square Enix even crying if they haven't sold this game on Xbox yet? Like, I just want to say, pack your load and go, man. If you want more copies sold, there is a huge 30 million user player base out there that you may be able to scrape some more copies onto your platform. So to me, I just feel like, this is almost redundant in a sense. Oh, we've only sold this much, or we sold this much, blah, 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 blah. Okay. What is the missing piece? Oh, well, you should have sold more, or you could have sold more. Had your former CEO or whoever signed those dealings, made smarter decisions, because that's what I'm thinking in my mind here. Y'all were basically thinking, oh, we could go ahead and we could do ABC, but no. This says, Final 16 tried to be, tried too hard to be Game of Thrones. Yoshida's greatest mistake was assuming there's a huge overlap between two fandoms. No, JRPG crowd wants JRPG visuals and stories. The Game of Thrones crowd would rather watch the series all over again. Interesting. This person said Final Fantasy just isn't that popular anymore. I don't think Final Fantasy 16 did anything wrong. It's just people moved on from certain franchises. Well, they moved on because they didn't have the franchise available to them. And now that the game is now here, many people have already taken on other priorities. I think people need to understand that no one's gonna stand there waiting to give you money if you're not gonna prioritize them. The market is just too saturated for that nonsense. I mean, has anybody not been looking at the number of games that have come out, especially on other platforms? Like if you check, say, Steam, SteamDB, game releases. I think that's what if you check the game releases on Steam by year, the summary, there are just too many games. Look at this. It came out in 2023, the same year that 14,265 games were released on Steam. So they were basically sitting there exclusive on PlayStation, probably not realizing that the rug had been pulled from under their leg, and everybody that will be playing on PlayStation is basically a small segment. That's why most of them bought the game initially. They bought it, bam, when the game launched. Oh, it's done this many sales. I guess that's as much sales as it was going to do, right? While people went back and started playing what it is that they usually play. Was it Fortnite? Was it 2K? Was it stinking GTA 5 online? Was it Call of Duty? So people went back to their regular gaming schedules, and the game basically saw nothing. So by the time they came out in 2024, basically late 2024, I think it was August or September or something like that. I can't remember exactly. By then, look how many games came out by August. 18,908 games. If we can go by months to see how many games were launched by the time they were coming out, it was a no-brainer. Then Black Myth Wukong launched as well around the same time. Didn't help. God of War Ragnarok also went to PC around the same time, which didn't help as well. They missed many trains. So this is not just that people don't want Final Fantasy. This is a matter of just poor, viewing of what the future could hold. People keep saying all the Final Fantasy games should end up. This person said all Final Fantasy games should, going forward, should be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth combat and world building. But if there are no people to buy the game, what difference would it make? That's the core question. What difference would it really make if they lock down, or, well, maybe the next Final Fantasy, I think there's more. Is there one more in the series? I don't know if, God forbid, for them anyways, they signed another exclusivity contract with Final Fantasy VIII Remake, which is supposed to be also very big if that becomes a thing. Are they going to do exclusivity? If they do exclusivity, what's the difference? Everyone is now finally waiting for games like Stellar Blade and Rise of Ronin to come to PC, but go look at what people are doing. People keep saying that Stellar Blade is going to go crazy on PC, but I'm like, guys, you don't understand. The Steam Spring Sale is here. Backlogs are about to get full again. We'll talk about that later in another video. Just want to go ahead and point this out. Thanks for watching this, guys. Appreciate you all so much, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.